let's change the subject. The Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, and my producers will play this very soon, Harry Naidrusu, says the right of health workers to embark on industrial action in future will be factored into the conditions of service being worked out by government. And we know that the Minister, was receiving the final document of a technical working group on the framework for negotiations of conditions of. We'll get to watch him, listen to him as well, and then we'll come back into the studio. The Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Harry Naidrusu.
The Ghana Medical Association had earlier threatened to declare themselves out of job with government delay in finishing them with their conditions of service, which will detail their terms of engagement, both financial and non-financial. The Health Minister, Alex Segbefia, says negotiations will begin immediately.
It is clear that now that we have this document, we will study it, ensure that others also will have a look at it in terms of other institutions and organizations. And once they have done their bit, we will have a document that can be signed by all stakeholders involved in the process. And this will then bring this phase of affairs to an end. And that gives sufficient time for the other agencies to have a look at it, namely the Public Service Department, the Attorney General's Department, and fair wages and salaries. So once they also have some input into it, we are hopeful that we will be in a position to have a document ready for signing very shortly.
Employment and Labour Relations Minister Harry Naidrusu, however, says the process has nothing to do with the threats by the Ghana Medical Association.
Let me assure the GMA that we as government, we are not doing this because of a threat of a strike action, not at all. We are bequeathing to health workers unacceptable conditions of service to be negotiated because we believe it's the right thing to do as a government and a deserving thing and appropriate thing for all health workers. Matters relating to transfer, promotion, salaries, allowances must naturally be determined within an acceptable framework within our labor rules and regulations.
And already we've been having reactions, and the Ghana Medical Association, they've still said, well, they'll continue with their actions, and we'll be hearing also from Dr. Jansen. And but what's your reaction to this?
Well, thank you once more. The
conditions of service and the reports, and the Medical Association is still insisting that it would still want to embark on the action, that is resigning from the health service completely, if government does not take a look at their conditions of service, so to speak.
Well, I don't understand what exactly, they want government to do. Seriously. Because they want government to implement it immediately, or what? Because you see, whatever you bring up in your condition must be factored into the budget. Otherwise, the same people will come, out to castigate government for overspending, for spending on things that government did not budget for. You understand? So, yes, they're taking some time for them to have this, and that is a normal thing that goes on. Initially, when I heard them complain about conditions of service, I said, what I know is that, like UTAC, for instance, we sit down, we put our proposals together and present it to government. So this morning, when I heard that they did that presentation, I said, yeah, that's good news. What it means is that they're taking a giant step. You understand? You don't expect government, to set up a committee and then just impose a condition on you. Bring up proposals, and that's what they have done. Government will look at it. We'll look at the legalities, and then where they are implementable, government will go ahead and do it. But then, as I said, it must be factored into the budget. And I think that is what. So continuing with the strike will not help. Will not help, because if you decide, if you resign, then what it means is that you are no more, what do you call it, an employee of government, and therefore government will not in a case that. In a situation where government will want to, find out, want to get some assistance in terms of understanding of the very document that you have presented. If you are no more in the service, you think government will deal with you? No.
But at the end of the day, it's because when they when they resign en masse, it's the health system that suffers.
Of course, you see. And that is
but
why...
do you, wait, hold on to all that you want to say. Let's listen to Dr. Yankson, the Deputy General Secretary for the Ghana Medical Association, on his reactions.
What really matters is the details that will be negotiated by the various groups. Let's say GMA goes to negotiate something on behalf of the doctors. It is the detail that we'll negotiate and sign that is really what is important. Well, we have made our statements known to the whole world. So we are just cooperating with the processes such that come the day of our deadline, everything would have been satisfied by then.
Which the deadline is 12 June?
No, we said 30th June. We communicated that as far back as November 2014, and we are still on course. We think that we'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt and make sure that the document is well sorted out. I'm just hoping that things will progress between now and the 30th of June, that's all.
Oh, Dr. Yankson there. And it's all about what's inside as far as the negotiation is concerned, what they are going to get out of it. That's what they're working for, the money.
The money. But what I just said was that...
also dovetails into what they are agreeing?
No, you see, the point is that, yes, we want money. You need to go to a process.
Do you think the Medical Association and its members are being a little bit impatient, not overly impatient?
For now, I would say yes, in the sense that you have just done a presentation of a document that needs to be studied because there are legalities. You know, government will not just get up and start implementing whatever proposal you have brought up. We would have to look at it in the context because we don't have an infinite resources. You know, there are limitations. There are limits to, which a government can spend. And these are dictated by law, you understand? And if it is not in the budget, that is also another problem. So coming out with timelines, short ones, like this, we'll be pushing government, too much. And it will not help all of us. You understand? Because I heard him, right? Negotiations. If you are negotiating with somebody, you don't go around to blackmail the person because giving timelines means government putting everything aside. Because you shouldn't think that you are the only person that government is dealing with. We recognize the fact that now there are some problems that government, fortunately, doomsday is subsiding gradually. Government is working seriously. We have a lot of problems in this country that government is attending to. We know that health service is very, very essential. You understand? And therefore, there's a need for government to give it maximum attention. But there are other issues to be looked at. You understand? There's the very people that are involved in this negotiation, finance, would have to continue to pay the doctors. Accountant General must continue to process. Though, but if you are insisting on short timelines, like what they are saying, then what it means that a lot of things must come to a halt. People must stop. Does it mean that we have to stop, certain processes and then come and look at this alone? No. I think they must be patient. Once government has accepted, to look at it and make sure that this is factored into the budget 2016. I'm just pleading with them. We need their services. They know what will happen if they decide to, go on strike or, as it said, resign and block. It will not help anybody. If indeed we took an oath to serve our people, you understand? It is for our own good.
Do you think the posture of government over the last 2 years towards worker groups, and for which many of them, and sometimes even led by the TUC, because of the current conditions, exacerbated even by the energy crisis, towards those type of concerns they've raised, and even sometimes perhaps comments that have been made, have led to some of these institutions like the GMA, etc., also taking some of these entrenched positions over the period?
You see, seriously speaking, if you want to say that because of some utterances by government or whatever.
Not necessarily the utterances. Yes. Sometimes the posture in itself, not necessarily the utterances.
What kind of posture? Because you see, we have in the first time, for the first time in the history of this country, we have president coming out to tell us what the situation of our financial, status is. You understand? Government has accepted the problems that we are faced with now. You understand? To the extent that the president even said that, look, we have hit the bone. You understand? And therefore, there's a need for some, austere measures. Where do you expect government to go and get the money from? Borrow and pay? No. We need to work. We have a situation where we had just, moved onto a certain pay structure that is costing government a lot. Yeah, with a lot of, demands. You understand? A lot of the problems that arose were unforeseen. We did not. Government did not expect some of the things that happened. You understand? To the extent that all our taxes, about 70%, you understand? 70% of our taxes went into salaries and wages. Where is the investment going to come from?
Well, the argument has been built over and over.
So that if you're a medical officer...
But where the criticism, especially also from the medical association and the other unionized worker groups, has been that even though there are calls for, you telling the people, the workers, that they should walk down the path of austerity, they don't see that being replicated in the way officials in public, or public officials tend to live. They drive four-wheel drive. They get the best access to all facilities. They get the best incentives as that is concerned. Forget about what your publicized salaries are.
Incentives? You see,
you've been a minister before.
Yes, of course.
So you will be in the best position to tell us.
I don't think
whether some of these criticisms are true.
Well, I don't know. But you see, the one I have been through it, and I don't see anything special. You understand? I don't see anything special. Because you see, you don't expect the minister to buy his own fuel. You understand? You don't, because even, ordinary workers are given fuel allowance. If a minister is
But the minister is not an ordinary worker. Not necessarily, I don't want us to just focus on ministers, for example. We're talking about appointees and public officers. So
you see, but the question is that...
it could be somebody who is working in the
but the question is if you find a minister driving a four-wheel or being driven a four-wheel, sometimes I wonder what it's happening, because driving. We agree that there are problems. You understand? Yes, our finances. But the point is that if it will have to take the minister, to go out to countryside, right? You expect him to drive in a taxi, or what? If the minister is being facilitated by a four-wheel drive, it doesn't become his property. It is for government. It is not the minister's property. So I don't see why people would be looking at that and then forget about what goes into the daily duties of the minister. You don't expect the minister.
If you're a minister, if you're traveling on a plane, what class of tickets do you travel on?
It's ministers travel on business.
They travel on business.
Yes, that's right. And that also is subject to availability of funds.
When you were minister, were you able to travel on economy class ever? No.
I did once.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
I did once.
Only once?
Yes, I did once.
Only once.
Yes.
Among the many travels that you did?
Well, I did not travel a lot.
Okay.
I did not travel because the minister decides.
Well, let's not be as if I'm putting you on the spot at all. But it's just that because the demands of the workers are the way they are,
but
and also the criticism being raised, being that, well, for all the talks about austerity, that they ask the working public, so to speak, to be on, they don't see the same being reflected in the livelihoods of the appointed public officials.
Yesterday, the Supreme Court judge who was
we're going to discuss it next.
He made a point that I think we should not on the back of the problems we have, just bastardize institutions, because if you overly criticize especially Article 71 holders, for instance. These are people who take decisions, and therefore we must make sure that we treat them in such a way that their decisions are not, influenced. You understand? That they are just, that they take decisions in the best interest of our nation. You understand? And therefore, if you want to look at our poverty levels, and therefore, try to bring them down, I mean, it will create more problems for us. Let us try, I wouldn't say insulate them, but at least provide the necessary tools for them to enable them, discharge, their services dutifully. You understand? But then, yes, we have problems, but must we say that we will not build hospitals? Must we say that we will not build the roads? I listened to the Vice President, and he said, look, we have infrastructure deficit. People are complaining that we are taking too much loans. Yes, we had problems with, we have a situation where the price of gold has fallen, the price of cocoa, we have problems. Where else? What else can we do?
Than to go and borrow.
We need to borrow and invest. What we need to do is that we need to make sure that the money we are investing gives us, the return. We get value for our money. You understand? My brother, Kafuo Didi. Kafuo. What did he? You understand?
Meaning what?
It means that, if you don't have money, would you eat? Or if you are owing somebody, does it mean that you must starve? No. You need to.
That means somebody who is in debt will still have to eat.
You have to eat.
Live.
To live. You have to live.
I just wanted you to do the translation for me, that's why.
You understand?
All right, I get your point,
Yes.
and we hope that those watching us also tend to get the point as well. As always, make sure you get interactive on our social network page. And on Facebook, we have Joy News on TV, and a handle on Twitter, Joy News on TV. You have a handle on Twitter?
No.
You're on Twitter. Your constituents usually don't like Twitter, do they? Are you on Facebook?
I'm Facebook, yeah.
You're one of the ministers who have been replying the messages.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's good, though. Being active on social media is important.
Yes.
We have a growing penetration of the internet in our country, and a growing number of young people in the current generation who are usually making their views known on social media. But let's go on to the subject of vetting of Supreme Court nominees. One who appeared before the Appointment Committee of Parliament is Justice Apple. Justice Apple was a sole commissioner for judgment debt, if you remember him vividly. And he rubbished assertions he would return favours to government because, he's been nominated by the president to the courts. And, he said merely because he was nominated by the president does not mean he will rule in favour of government on issues brought before him, that is between whatever it was. And the nominee made the comment when he appeared before the Appointment Committee of Parliament. Are you a member of the Appointment Committee? No.
No, I'm not.
Okay. But you monitored him?
Yes, I did.
What do you make of his views? Very stern views.
Well, you see, the point is that what are favours? You do government a favour by doing the right thing, by being professional.
I don't get you. You've been appointed by the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Yes.
Are you saying the judges don't have emotions?
They have.
They can't necessarily also be moved by things they see around them, but
they are human beings. But what I'm saying is that you do government and Ghana a favour by doing the right thing, by being professional. And I think that was what he was driving at. By not twisting judgments in the favour of people who don't deserve. You understand? Because after all, I am sure the president saw something in him. And you see, when you look at the background of the gentleman who was vetted, once upon a time he was appointed by General Rawlings, then Kufuor also did, appoint him. So I don't see why people should even, raise any
eyebrows.
No, at all. Because you see, otherwise we will not get anybody to appoint.
Do you think by raising such questions, and of course coming from legislators in the House, perhaps we seem to be either overly reading into this appointment or also trying to polarize the front of the judiciary? No.
You see, sometimes you need to raise that, issues
for the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, no, not necessarily that, but at least to put, certain issues at rest. You need to build the confidence of the people. You understand?
That's the questions have been asked, and they have clarified.
They have clarified.
And they've given their word.
Yes, and therefore, you see, somebody going before him, should not have doubts. And it is good that certain things came up. And I'm sure he really gave some satisfactory, answers. And it will really, cool down the system, build more confidence in our judicial system.
Well, he said something. Appoint your friend to the Supreme Court, that Justice Yawapo, and he will become your enemy in the next instance. The fact that you appoint him to the Supreme Court does not mean any new thing you want to introduce, and that goes to the Supreme Court, that judge you appointed is going to side with you. That's a mark of a professional.
Yes, because certainly he is not. He's not going to, set, the questions and provide answers himself. You understand? Because the syllabus, to put it, I'm not a lawyer, but they deal with law. You understand? And therefore, they are guided by law. And therefore, he doesn't go there to set rules for himself. You understand? He needs to apply the law. So anything outside, cannot be countenanced. So it is the law. So that's what the law says. They interpret the law as it is. They don't add, they don't subtract. Unless you decide to set aside the law, then you'll be doing your own thing. You understand? So if I understand him very well, if you appointed him because you want, him to twist some facts, no, he cannot, because he can't change the law. He can only interpret what the law says. You understand? That's all.
Anyway, the Constitution has given the right to a president to make some of these appointments.
Yes,
and
of
I
course.
believe that it's with a good intention of the framers of the Constitution that this has been put in place. And we know that we all need to respect that as much as possible. This sometimes have also even led to polarization of views concerning even whoever is appointed for the Electoral Commission position as chairman.
Yes, you see.
Why do you think that some of these things keep coming?
Again, let the people let them ask the questions. The answers are going to be provided. You see, once the questions are raised, instead of people just keeping it to themselves and deciding to do, things in their own way, let them come out with the questions. Once they come up, when the questions keep coming, answers will be provided. Where are the answers? The answers are in the law. They are in the Constitution. You understand? For all you know, there are people who do not even know, right? That the president, in consultation with the Council of State, will appoint the EC. But then, once they start questioning, they are told that it is in the Constitution, and that rests the case. Period. You understand? So at the end of the day, I'm happy when said things happen. I only get worried when the answers are not forthcoming. But at least we have our great book, the Constitution, which will provide the answers. And the people who have not been reading, who are not so conversant with the Constitution, will be told where it is, to go and find out for themselves. And interestingly, the interpretation that have been given, good, we have the Supreme Court there. As Justice Apau said, the judiciary is there to, give interpretation and then maybe polish whatever laws that are made. You understand? Not to change it, but to polish, give meaning to it. So at the end of the day, if people raise the questions and the answers are not found, or they are in the understanding in the Constitution is not too clear, we go to the Supreme Court and then they do the interpretation and it rests the case. And that is good for us. And that's the rule of law. And that's where we are now. And that's the reason why people should not take the law into their own hands and do things, as they so wish. No.
Okay.